So in a landmark ruling last fall, a federal judge determined that fluoride levels in America's drinking water may pose an unreasonable risk. I promise you these things are exceptionally related. And the risk is to children's developing brains.
Oh, great.
There are other risks, of course, and I'll list them. But the judge specifically cited studies linking to fluoride exposure, lowering IQ in our kids. Now, the court ordered the EPA to take action under the Toxic Substances Control Act, making it the first time a court has ever overruled the agency on a chemical safety issue in decades.
Oh, wow.
Now, at first, it looked like the tide is turning, right? Because under Trump's administration, Maha's agenda, spearheaded by Kennedy, the EPA signaled they're going to cooperate. I even sat with Lee Zeldin, the head of the EPA.
Excellent interview. Everyone should check it out.
A month ago, and he's like, we're going to look at fluoride in the water. We're going to reevaluate this. Except something just happened, and there was a political whiplash. A month or so ago, the Department of Justice, acting through the Solicitor General, filed an appeal of that very ruling.
Why?
They did it on behalf of the EPA.
So weird.
Who agreed they were going to look into it, right? Even though the agency itself was like, we're gonna look into this, we're gonna change direction. Okay, so now the administration is arguably at war with itself. HHS and the EPA want to restrict fluoride, but the DOJ is dragging the issue back to court. So I want to dissect this from top to bottom, okay? Because you're a dentist, the American Dental Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, the WHO, you guys are crazy. Fluoride hung the moon. Did it. All right, so what is it? Let's break it down. It's a naturally occurring mineral in the form of an element called fluorine, and it's naturally found in your water, in your soil, and in certain foods, okay? What does it do for your teeth? Well, it can help with remineralization because fluoride attracts calcium and phosphate to the tooth surface, and it helps to repair early enamel damage, and it has an antibacterial action. So it essentially disrupts the metabolism of cavity-causing bacteria. It's called Streptococcus mutans, and it basically blocks their ability to destroy your teeth. So you're like, awesome, this is the best thing ever, right? Okay, well, why is it in drinking water? How come it's not just applied topically, and is that better? Well, in the 1940s, researchers noticed that communities with naturally fluoridated water had fewer cavities. Now, this is before there was fluoride in toothpaste, and before people understood dental hygiene, and before they could really honestly go to the dentist, but it ultimately led to community-wide mass medicalization of our entire country by fluoridating the water. All right. And we used to think, and this has subsequently been partially debunked, that fluoridating the water would help kids' teeth develop before they erupted, before the kids broke their tooth, or literally their teeth came out of the gums. And they thought, this is great systemically before 8. But now they're like, actually, we don't think so. And new science is coming to light that maybe this isn't the truth. Okay. So they thought that this passive access through water fluoridation would be a universal, low-cost intervention, especially to underserved communities.
Wrong again, Bob.
They did not. They did not add fluoride. Hold on, we're not going to get there yet. They did not add fluoride to your dental products until the 60s. So they were like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. All right, now, topical fluoride is the most effective. It's in toothpaste, mouth rinses, and varnishes that are applied by your dentist. This is how fluoride is meant to work. Now, their argument is, well, if we ingest it, it's in the saliva, and therefore it coats the teeth. But you don't need to do that. There's an unnecessary risk there. And we're going to talk about what these risks are. So the most common is something called dental fluorosis. It's the most common in kids. It happens when you take in too much fluoride. And it's like white streaks, spots, brown discoloration on the teeth. But dentists are like, yeah, but we can cosmetically fix that, but the tooth is healthy should that happen. All right. Skeletal fluorosis. So if you take in too much fluoride, you can get joint stiffness, bone pain, abnormal bone growth, increased risk of fractures, and it can lead to crippling deformities. Thyroid dysfunction. Now, this one I find, wait for it. How many women do you know that have a thyroid?
A lot, and I'm terrified.
Right.
Like, if you have thyroid issues, you can't regulate your weight. Like, all sorts of
thyroiditis.
issues. Yeah.
All hypothyroidism is seemingly an epidemic on the rise. I just wonder, could this be an element that's contributing to it? And here's how it affects the thyroid. It interferes with iodine uptake, which your body needs to make thyroid hormone. So that could be kind of shitty. Then there's neurodevelopment effects, and this is a big one, and this is what the judge ruled on.
Yes.
There are significant peer-reviewed studies that shows fluoride crosses the placenta, exposing the developing fetal brain to fluoride, okay? There are 3 different studies in particular that are pretty significant, which show it's associated with a 4.5 decrease in IQ in boys.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, and it
I
occurs
remember
at
this.
standard fluoridation levels, which means it's like what's in a liter of water.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not great. It's in infant formulas. If you mix those formulas with water, it's in tap water. All of our food is made with it. You go get that energy drink. You go get your coffee at Starbucks. There's
Does Brita
fluoride.
filter it out?
No.
No. You need to get a special fluoride filter if you want to
no.
filter out fluoride specifically.
Reverse
You
osmosis.
need reverse
doesn't work?
osmosis.
I love my mama. She's a little, like, she's been right on some things, she's been wrong on some things. I hate that she didn't let me wear sunscreen growing up. So expensive as an adult to fix that. But she grew up, she was born in Hungary and she grew up in Papua New Guinea until she was 13. No fluoride in the water in Papua New Guinea. No fluoride in the toothpaste, anything. Her and my entire family have the most perfect, beautiful teeth. From when I was a child, she was like, no fluoride for you. I have great teeth. This is something my mom has been red pilling me on since I was like 5 years old.
Well, that's not the only country that doesn't fluoridate the water with
Yeah.
better results for dental health than we have here in the U.S. And I am going to throw up that chart in just a second here. But it also strains the kidneys, and people who already have chronic kidney disease have a hard time filtering it, which can lead to skeletal fluorosis, which we just talked about, possible endocrine disruption. It may affect the pineal gland in your brain, which makes melatonin, which is a crucial hormone. I mean, it is arguably dangerous.
I'm so stressed out.
Wait,
it's gonna get out
so much worse. Hold on.
Calcification of the pineal
Yes.
gland, that's what I've heard a bunch of people
Arguable.
talk about.
Theoretical, but yes. Okay, now there's also some gastroenterologists that are saying, well, it's an antibacterial agent and we're drinking it, so is it screwing up our microbiome?
Oh, no.
And your microbiome plays a role in pretty much everything.
Everything.
From how you assimilate nutrients to your
Oh,
cognitive
gosh.
function to your hormone production. So it's like there's a good cause for concern. Now, first question is, what is the safe amount recommended by the CDC? 0.6 milligrams for a toddler in a day, 1 milligram for a child, 3.5 milligrams for an adult. How much is in 1 gallon of water? 2.65 milligrams of fluoride. So the problem is not just, oh, you're not chugging a gallon of water. The issue, what's in your coffee? What's in your kids' juice? How are they reconstituting things? What's in the soup? They're using water to make everything, and it's all fluoridated. So the arguable position is we're getting way too much fluoride, and we don't even need it because we can put it topically on our teeth where it's best utilized to do its job.
What is it doing to our pets? Because
Same.
they're little
Exact same.
fur babies.
Exact same. The pets are actually subject to all the same health concerns, except they're more susceptible. You clean your floor with chemicals, they walk on it with bare
That's
little
true.
paws.
Oh.
Great book called The Forever Dog. Read it.
Vinegar and water, folks. Okay, you don't need to rely on.
Hold on, just hold on.
So
I
our
need you to
DNA
see
is
this.
screwed and now
This
we
is
have
really
the fluoride
important
issue.
because if you're like, well, I don't understand. Who's profiting from this?
Right.
Why are we keeping it in the water? The phosphate fertilizer industry is who's profiting from this. So most fluoride in the U.S. is a byproduct of phosphate fertilizer manufacturing in the form of hydrofluorosilicic acid and sodium fluorosilicate. Okay, so these are collected from wet scrubbers during fertilizer production. They are waste materials that are hazardous, and instead of having to dispose of them and it costing money, they put them in the water. So
my
this is
goodness.
10 years old. Take a look at this. Wow. Crank that sound, will you?
If you ask most dentists and ask them what they're putting in the water, most dentists would say sodium fluoride, pharmaceutical sodium fluoride, the same stuff that is in toothpaste.
They have absolutely no idea that it's, in 9 out of 10 cases, hydrofluorosilicic acid, and that hydrofluorosilicic acid is a waste product for the phosphate industry.
This has come about because for maybe 100 years, the phosphate fertilizer industry put out 2 very, very poisonous gases into the environment, hydrogen fluoride and silicon tetrafluoride. Eventually, they were required to capture those, and they did it with a wet spray, water, and that water converts these 2 very toxic gases into hexafluorosilicic acid. And it's this scrubbing liquor, which is about 25% strong, is put into tanker trucks, driven around the country, and added to our drinking water.
If this stuff goes out the stack, it's an air pollutant. If it goes directly into the water supply, if they take that scrubber liquor and dump it into the local river, it's a water pollutant. But if they put it into a tank wagon and sell it to somebody, a water authority, like magic, it's not a pollutant. And they can take that then to your drinking water supply and not discharge it into your river. They just charge it directly into your drinking water supply.
All right, kill it there.
Slowly
Can I just
bleed
say,
it
so
in.
instead of
It's
having
magic.
to
It's
pay to dispose of
toxic
that
waste.
waste,
Toxic waste.
they have convinced local governments and municipalities
To buy it.
To buy it so they profit off of it.
Put it in your water.
That's
They
amazing.
are making money on both ends.
Okay, so the long story short is that isn't even the type of fluoride you want to utilize.
Right.
You want pharmaceutical grade
Right.
fluoride that you will find in toothpaste and dental varnishes. So why then would the ADA, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the WHO not reverse course? I mean, arguably because they've been backing it for such a long time. I mean, there's no direct financial pipeline to it that I can find for them, but it's been promoted as a landmark of public health since the 50s. If fluoride is deemed harmful, they'll face serious reputational damage for endorsing it. If they admit potential harm, there's institutional liability for them.
True.
I mean, it's pretty significant. So at the end of the day, here's what I can leave you with, because your dentist is largely going to tell you that I'm insane. But everything I told you today is true.
And verifiable.
Yes.
So you decide what you want to do with your drinking water. And I simply recommend, if you want it out,
Get a filter.
you
can
get a reverse
you have to get
osmosis
very
filter.
special filters for it. Specifically, Hawaii actually has removed all of the fluoride from the water. It's the only state in the United States, so far as my knowledge, that there is no fluoride in the water whatsoever. And it's just interesting. People call Hawaii, oh, it's so hippies. People are definitely more in touch with their intuition there. And it's interesting living there for 4 years and then coming to mainland USA. They say it calcifies the pineal
that chart,
gland.
will
The
you?
pineal
The
gland is a
countries?
legitimate part in the brain that is found to be connected to things like your intuitive senses, right? Isn't it interesting how much more connected people are to their intuition in places like Hawaii? And I know that sounds like hippie, whatever.
No, I think it's also
a genuine
cultural
cool
too,
country.
like the
Cultural.
Polynesian culture, and
Yeah.
there's
Like
a
all
big
different countries on it?
Japanese.
That's true. They do
population.
care more about their culture and
Being
their
connected to
history
the
and
environment.
things than
There.
what people hear
So here,
of.
the proof is in the pudding, arguably, right? So you brought this up early, Amy. You were onto it. Sweden doesn't fluoridate the water. The Netherlands, Germany, Finland, but USA, Ireland, Australia, they do. So what DMFT means is decayed, missing, or filled teeth. Those countries have a lower percentage DMFT score
Yeah.
than the countries that fluoridate the water.
Freaking Papua New Guinea, which is like a third world country, basically.
Well, this also
Just
just
saying.
explains why the vehement opposition against RFK Jr. was so vitriolic.
Oh my God,
They
it's insane.
demonized him like he
Crazy.
was some sort of monster. It's because he actually has the guts to go up against Big Pharma and these interests. And he actually has the guts to say we should stop allowing pharmaceutical companies to advertise on cable TV.
Totally
That'll be
agree
a
with
really
you on that.
difficult
Yeah.
one to ever do, though, because that's how they make so much of their
also-
They argue it's a
revenue,
First
right?
Amendment violation, but you know, you bring up something pretty significant. But at the end of the day, here's what's interesting about Kennedy is, like, you can still take fluoride tablets if you want them. You can,
Yeah,
you
true.
can,
Medical
but-
grade.
But give us
real one.
the choice. You are mass medicating almost the entirety of the country with significant potential health risks that I, for one, don't want to take on. And the fact that there's no choice, the fact that they're demonizing this guy, and the fact that you are hearing it from, again, the institutions of trust is alarming. So, again, I'm not a dentist. You decide based on the information I've given you today what you want to do. And the great news is we all arguably have a choice. You'll still get some fluoride exposure, but you can get a filter to greatly mitigate it.
I just really quick before we wrap, as this episode is premiering, I'm going to link in the chat. Connor is actually a writer for Valuetainment who's producing for us today, and he wrote an incredible article, research piece on how fluoride is making kids dumber. So as we go through this segment, I'm going to link that to the top of the chat for you guys so you can follow along as well or read it after.
One quick final thing. I just want to tie everything we talked about together.
Do it.
The forced vaccinations, the forced consumption, essentially the forced feeding of fluoride, and also lastly, the forced feeding of information, the lies that they wanted us to accept as gospel truth.
Yeah.
It's the same model over and over again.
So true.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.